Hey, what's going on, Trojan fans? Welcome to the USC LAFB show here on the LAFB network. We are Los Angeles Sports. Hope everyone's doing well. Check in with you after a busy weekend in Trojan Land. Junior Day on Saturday was a huge success. I want to talk about that, some of the recruiting news. USC just made another front office hire. I mean, it's kind of insane at this point. The staff that this program is building in the front office, something that was dearly lacking since this Riley era has started and has become a forefront at the mind of the entire program. I think they've built something really, really special. So we'll talk about that hire that just happened today. Excited to be back with you guys and discuss all this. So thank you as always for hanging out with me. I'm Ryan Dyrud, part of the LAFB network, part of the Salute Detroit podcast, part of the USC LAFB community. So show as always brought to you by our friends over at BetOnline. Head to betonline.ag today. All the best money lines, game spreads, everything you need, especially for the big game coming up this weekend. I cannot believe it's already here this weekend. Chiefs, Eagles. I don't know about you. The two teams I did not want to see in it. For sure one team. For sure the Chiefs. The only thing would have been worse for me, and I know some USC fans will disagree because I think USC fans happen to be fans of this team as well, but Chiefs-Niners would have been the only one worse for me. Obviously living here in LA, covering the Rams as well. So, but Chiefs-Eagles, not great either. But hey, still the Super Bowl, still fun, still the party's fun, and I love wagering on all the different prop bets, Gatorade color, heads or tails, over-under, national anthem. All that can be done at betonline.ag, where the game starts. Tell them the LAFB network sent you. All right, so I'm going to try to get all this info, hopefully, to you in a good form without stumbling over. Apologies. It has been quite the few days here at the LAFB network. We cover all LA sports. So obviously everyone knows about the massive blockbuster Lakers trade. I was at a Jelly Roll concert, first concert I've been to in a while, Jelly Roll concert on Saturday night, when that news comes breaking. So I'm scrambling from the concert, trying to get someone to be able to cover that news as Luka Doncic is coming to LA. And then just yesterday, Cooper Kupp announces that the Rams have informed him that he's going to be traded. So we're getting all that news going. On top of all that, you have the other team coverage, and then obviously USC with a massive recruiting weekend and another hire today. So excited to get to, but hopefully I don't miss anything. But if I do, we'll be the coach, myself, and the Madman will be recording tomorrow night after tomorrow's National Signing Day officially. Everyone thinks it's December 4th, but technically still National Signing Day is February. But now we just kind of call it the late signing period. And trending for linebacker, AJ Tulele, I believe his name is, trending towards the Trojans. He's a 2025 class decommit from Washington State, trending towards USC. So we'll see if he does indeed sign tomorrow. Plus, there'll be press conferences, which I'll be at on USC's campus, for all the new coaching hires. Rob Ryan, Chad Savish, obviously GM, Chad Bowden, Teron Reed. So, I'll be there bringing you guys all the info on that. Plus, I'll have videos up on our YouTube channel you can watch from that press conference. So, a lot going on. Always love it. That's what makes this business so fun. So, let's talk the hire first, and I'll end with some Junior Day stuff. So, announced today, USC and Chad Bowden hiring another member to the front office. This position, as it is called, is going to be the Executive Director of Player Personnel. So, based on the other hires, hired Zaire Turner was the Assistant AD of Recruiting Operations. Dre Brown last week hired as the Executive Director of Scouting and Personnel. I don't know if this is an equilateral position, Executive Director of Players Show, or would be a little bit above those two. I don't think it really matters. All of them are working coincidentally with Chad Bowden on his, front office and what they're trying to build here. But they're able to hire Max Stienecker, another rising star in the business. He was the GM at Wisconsin, a Big Ten premier program. Already held the GM title, the man running the recruiting operation under Luke Fickell. And USC and Chad Bowden was able to convince him, I don't want to say this in a bad way, but essentially take a demotion to come to I would think everyone out there would agree USC is a tier above Wisconsin, but it's not like he was at, Florida A&M or, Texas State. Wisconsin it's a premier Big Ten program with a lot of history there that he was already a general manager of at a very young age. And USC was able to coax him to come take essentially by title, I'm sure there was a pay raise, but by title, a demotion to executive director of player personnel to come and build what USC is building and be a part of this supreme staff that Chad Bowden has put together very quickly. We're getting ahead of ourselves. Sometimes comparisons are dangerous to make when nothing's actually happened. And, Chad Bowden obviously being so new, not just as a GM, but for sure with USC, just being a few weeks removed from being hired from Notre Dame. Again, same title, GM. But what he's building staff-wise is all based on relationships. And it reminds me of another guy in town, in Sean McVay, whose tree and branches have splintered all through the NFL because of what he has built with the Rams and the relationships he's built with his staff, and every other organization wants a piece of that because it's special what McVay has been able to build. Obviously, not taking anything away from the guys that have gotten those promotions and jobs. They put in the work, the hours, but it all comes from look at what the Rams are doing. Look what McVay has built. It's something special. And so all these hires by Chad Bowden all were relationships that he had built. I want to say all of them came from Cincinnati. I'm trying to remember if Dre Brown was there as well, but obviously Dre Brown had a relationship or some contacts with Bowden as well. But while at Cincinnati, Zaire Turner and now Max Stienecker were on that Cincinnati staff under Luke Fickell. Bowden, Turner went to Notre Dame. Luke Fickell, when he got hired by Wisconsin, brought Stienecker with him. While at Wisconsin, he was promoted to the director of player personnel at 22 years old. I think he was in 22, so now he's like 24, 25. He was the youngest in college football history. This past summer is when he was promoted to GM. I won't put up a ton on the screen, but you can look it up if you want. Around the league, everyone's saying he's a rising star. He was on 247's 30 under 30 list. He was on threes. I think they just call it the rising star list. Talked about by the Wisconsin program as a relationship builder, a perennial recruiter, a relatable guy. Some of the players all loved, and obviously what he was able to help with building that class alongside Luke Fickell. Another home run hire by this Trojan staff, by Jen Cohen, Lincoln Riley, and obviously Chad Bowden running that operation. And it just shows that this front office, just a month ago, the turn of the new year, or what was it, right at the end of the New Year's when it was announced, they were, right in December around Christmas is when they announced they were doing a GM search. And this had probably been going on way prior, but the news broke and we were told by sources that they are indeed going to hire a new GM. Because the thought all along was, hey, I'm not going to sit here and talk ill will, but who they had in place was not the fit for what the GM role is in college football. They had to do something. I mean, they were getting all the efforts that the coaching staff was making recruiting was getting thwarted by not having a front office. You can call it incompetent front office. You can call it bad employees in the front office, but in reality, they just didn't have a true front office. In a 30 days time now, not only do they have a established true front office in kind of NFL form, but they have arguably the best front office in college football. And what they've done so similarly to what Lincoln Riley did with his coaching staff is they've built it knowing that they're not going to be able to keep everyone for long. These are all rising stars, all young in the game. Every single one of them will be a GM. Now, Chad Bowden, unless he wants to go to the NFL, I don't think he will upgrade anywhere other than USC. Like, I'm sure maybe teams like Texas or Miami will come calling for pay raises. But if it's not all about money, it's going to be hard for him to leave USC. But if he wants to go to the NFL, that's what he could build for. But Dre Brown, Zaire Turner, and Max Stienecker, who already was a GM last year, now coming down to executive director of player personnel, all three of them will be GMs again. But by creating this staff, you have ensured yourself, like the defensive staff that Lincoln Riley built, that if one leaves, you have enough creativity, enough thought process, enough growth, all of that to where you're not going to just have to rebuild the thing. Like sometimes when you get a good hire, you run the risk of like, well, if they leave, we're screwed. And so they've built this intact now by fundamentally and obviously shelling money out to, if Chad Bowen after 1 year, NFL comes calling. Like, man, look what you did at Notre Dame. Look what you did at USC. NFL comes calling. Well, you have 3 staffers beneath him. One of those can be pretty easily promoted. Max Stienecker already was a GM. Turner and Brown are going to be GMs. They were both director of player personnel at their previous stop. If, say, Bowden's good, he's happy here, but any of those other 3, Stienecker gets another GM job, Turner gets another GM job, Dre Brown gets a GM job. Well, you have the 2 or 1 remaining that have helped build this together with Bowden, and then you just kind of bring someone else in new and bring them up to speed. But you're not starting back from the ground like this staff was 30 days ago. So it's a really impressive job what Bowden did. And I know fans, listening and probably reading, I've put articles out on it, are thinking the same thing, which I'm not denying. But, it's all great, but it's all lip service until you get it done. And 100% true. But you have to understand the gravity of this. Like, this team did not have a front office 30 days ago. Whether you want to blame Lincoln Riley, blame Jen Cohen, blame the boosters not opening, whatever you want to blame. Blame whoever. I really don't care. It doesn't affect me. But the facts are they didn't have a front office. Now they do. That's a game changer. And they can still mess it up. It doesn't mean they're just going to be gifted a natty now because of it. But for all the frustration in recruiting and transfer portal, and everyone's like, oh, you talk about this elite staff. Talk about Coach Henny and his recruiting. Well, look at all these guys decommitting. It wasn't the coaches. There was no front office to close the deal. And it's still going to happen. There's still going to be guys that commit and decommit. That's the way college football is. It's not like all of a sudden now with the front office, every 5-star that commits to USC is here forever. No more transfer portal. It doesn't work like that. There still is going to be that happening. There's still going to be people upset. But it's not going to happen for the silly reasons that it happened over the last year and a half, 2 years. It's not going to happen because a player couldn't, get a call back, or an agent or a parent couldn't receive information about, like, could they negotiate a bigger deal? It's not going to happen because there is no negotiation. Like, I think there will be some negotiations now. There will be some give and take. So players, I'm sure you're still going to lose. That's just the way college football is. Everyone has to understand that. But based on what this staff historically has done and what I think they can do with USC's resources, USC's brand, the coaching staff in place, obviously got to win some damn football games this fall, you're not going to lose players to silly reasons. It will truly be like chasing the bag and USC saying, you know what, I don't think you're worth that. Because they could probably pony up for most of these. But again, this isn't a $200 million salary cap. I mean, you're working $20 to $30 million, which is still crazy compared to where it was. But, you can only sign so many. So it's going to be truly someone chasing the bag and like, okay, Miami or whoever will give me more. Or USC saying, you know what, it's just not a fit. College football now is treated like an NFL business. You have a player. If they didn't fit with your system, scheme, culture, whatever, they don't get re-signed to a second contract. There is times when that happens. Players at the portal because the team tells them like, hey, I think you'll be a better fit elsewhere. So anyway, that's a whole conversation for later. The spring portal window is going to open. That's going to be a lot of fun seeing this staff fully in place, and we can see what happens in the spring portal because I think that's going to be crazy too. I think that you'll see players enter that portal, big name players. You'll see 2025 commits, so freshmen entering that portal that SC can add to their class. We'll see if they lose any, or if with this staff everything is retained and everything is, the status quo as is. But another home run hire. I mean, the fact that they have 4 potential GMs, they have 2 actual sitting GMs and 2 other director of player personnels that will one day be GMs on this staff. I think it's fantastic. And it's very similar to what Lincoln Riley built with his defensive staff. Dan Lynn's the DC. Coach Henney could be a DC. Doug Belk was a DC. Matt Entz of last year was a head coach, came as a linebacker coach. Now Rob Ryan, a Super Bowl winning DC as a linebacker. You're basically hiring people that are overqualified. Now they got to go win on the field. That's all that's left. Every move they've made since December 4th, since basically Matt Entz took the Fresno State job, and there was a bit of a panic and turmoil on national signing or on December signing day. Every move since then has been home run, out of the park move. Now, can they add some more talent in the spring window? Because I think they have a good spring class. Now it's small; it's only 10. It will grow. I don't know if it's going to get to 20 like some teams, but I could see 15. Their 2025 class is going to grow. They just signed an edge player actually today. 18 sacks, a senior in high school. Just signed him today. I just remembered that. I don't have the name in front of me, so I apologize. I'll try to find that while doing that. But yeah, I mean, just remarkable stuff. So, yeah, what's going on, family? Got to quickly tell you about our friends over at Underdog Fantasy, new sponsor and friend of the show. One of the most fun games out there, fantasy games you can do in the industry today. Super easy to do. Go to the App Store or go to UnderdogFantasy.com. Download today. Use our promo code LAFB, or you can just click the link in the description wherever you are watching. That promo code is going to give the new user that you have just become a free pick, one free pick, and up to $1,000 in bonus cash. That's free money. Up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Why would you not want to do that for a simple deposit? Just make sure to use that promo code LAFB or click the link below. The game is super easy. It's super fun. Pick 2 to 8 players in a game. Go ahead and go with the higher or lower, whether they're going to have more passing yards, touchdowns, receiving yards, rushing yards, any of that. It's a lot of fun. And just choose higher or lower. That's easy with the opportunity to win. So, go to Underdog Fantasy today. Promo code LAFB gets you a free entry and up to a $1,000 bonus cash. Now let's get to this junior day. And obviously, Stienecker was not there yet, but Bowden was there in place, Turner in place, Brown in place, the staff with Rob Ryan and Reed all in place. Excuse me. Huge junior day on campus over Saturday. We talked about it a little bit last week leading into it, put some articles about it, so I'm not going to just sit here and list all the names. I think I did that actually on the last episode, but a ton of blue chip prospects, ton of them that came out to see or to meet this coaching staff, to see campus, it's just a great recruiting day and a great recruiting opportunity. But you also had, aside from the list that was already going, for those that haven't heard yet, you had some surprise visitors, or at least surprise to like us in the media. And I'm going to mention 2. There was a few, but 2 I'll mention is 4-star quarterback currently committed to Oregon, Jonas Williams. He came on campus, had a very good visit reportedly. And the number one ranked wide receiver from right here in Mater Dei, Chris Henry Jones. He's committed to Ohio State. Also, another good visit. So, 2 guys that, flip candidates. But everything you hear, like Sean Alston, running back, who's committed, had nothing but good things to say about being here. RJ Sermons was here. Some of these other kids that, not committed yet, but, big prospect, or another flip candidate, right? Spadford out of Mission Viejo, committed to Georgia. He's a flip candidate. Receiver, really talented receiver. He's a flip candidate that I think had a really good visit. So a huge weekend. Everything went off. No official commits have come out of it yet. I would expect that to change. Now, again, think of last year. How many commits happened in February? A lot of those started happening in March when we started getting that momentum and whatnot. So, but I think some will come through. I just think there was that much momentum, and whether it's kids just still thinking about it or whether they have committed, just announced, has not happened yet. But I think that'll certainly change. I think it's interesting. Someone on, I think just like a fan, someone on Twitter had tweeted like, essentially saying that same thing. Like I'm not quoting, but what a great weekend, but no commitments have come through yet. And Brandon Lockhart, 5-star corner out of Loyola, committed to USC. I think he's top 5, I think, corner in the entire country, who's been a huge promoter of USC. Seems to just be so fired up about his commitment, always talking about promoting the brand, talking about other guys. He responded to it essentially saying, just wait and see. I could look for the tweet. I'm paraphrasing, but essentially like wait and see. Also tweeted something to the tune of, we have a national championship level number of recruits on campus right now. Basically saying like the talent that's here right now in SC, we could win a natty with. I love when you see, and this is nothing new. Kids were always like this, but it's just different now with social media because they put it out there. But it's great, right? When you see these kids fired up about where they're committed to, trying to get other prospects in their respective classes to commit with them and join them and say, hey, we're building something special at SC. Come join the ride. I love seeing that from their kids. Husan Longstreet's been a huge proponent since flipping from A&M to here, trying to get other guys to come with them. Brandon Arrington, one of those guys that he's talked about, the number 1 athlete in the 2026 class. He, I believe, was actually at Alabama this weekend for a visit. That I heard went really well. They kind of are in the pole position, if you will. But SC very much in the mix. He's a Cali kid. Could certainly get him, which would be a huge get as well. But Husan Longstreet's been that guy, like getting other kids to commit in the 25 class, in the 26 class. So, winning will help. But I think what they've done in the front office, the brand is strong again. Not that it was never not strong. I mean, USC is always a strong brand, but it didn't have the brevity in years past. And it's not back to where it needs to be. So I'm not sitting here saying like, oh yeah, you went 7-6 last year and all of a sudden you're a top brand. So I'm not naive in that. But in our society today, especially with the youth, just remember this. What have you done for me lately? Half these kids already probably don't even remember that USC was 7-6 last year. They're thinking about, okay, what's now? What's happening now? Oh, you have Rob Ryan now? Okay, yeah, I want to play for Rob Ryan. I don't care you were 7-6 last year. What are we doing now? Oh, look at this GM that's fantastic recruiting and giving me this offer. I don't care that they were a mess with NIL offers 6 months ago. What's happening now? You lost to Maryland back in October? Okay, well, I didn't know that. Like, I'm just saying that in youth culture, what have you done for me now? Not just youth, really. Everyone. This is what everyone thinks. So, not giving an excuse, not saying USC is back to where it needs to be, but I'm saying it's definitely much closer than I think what some people say. There's a lot of people that are speaking very highly of the program, and that's just what I'm doing. And, call me too optimistic or whatever. It's February, though. I'm not going to sit here and just harp on last season. These are good moves that are being made. This was a good junior day. There was a lot of hype and buzz. That's what we have to go off of right now. Hype and buzz. That's what you go off of in February. I'll be on campus tomorrow. We'll see what it's like there. Spring game is coming up in a month. We'll see what it looks like there. And then we'll go from there. But all we have to go off right now is hype and buzz. Right? we have hires to talk about and recruiting news. So, but right now it's all positive. It's all positive. So now let's see what Lincoln Riley can do in his coaching, finishing, what the quarterback position looks like. Is Jaden Maiava truly the guy? Does Husan Longstreet beat him out as a true freshman? That's the big question mark kind of going in, is because I think the defense is going to be, it already improved a ton. It's going to be even better, especially with some of these transfers. I mean, you look at Keyshawn Silver and Josh Jarrett on the defensive line. Obviously, Jakeem Stewart coming up in the 25 class. Then obviously that 24 class with, Shadei Abisari and Carlin Jones, so we didn't see it all, but he's a guy coming back. Obviously, Cam Fountain, all these, Anthony Lucas. I mean, it's going to be even better. The scheme is great already with Dan Lynn and what they're building and adding Rob Ryan, but now you get more, better players in. So the defense is going to be better. The big question is going to be quarterback. We were spoiled for 2 years with Caleb Williams, and everyone at the end started blaming Caleb. I think last year everyone realized how good Caleb Williams was, and we saw glimmers of goodness from Miller Moss. We saw glimmers of goodness from Jaden Maiava. But what are we going to look at consistently at QB? So that's going to be kind of the defining trademark of 25, and we have a long time to see that, and we'll see it. I cannot wait for the spring game to watch kind of this battle between Maiava and Longstreet. So, last thing, and I'll wrap up, since I'm talking quarterbacks. I mentioned the potential flip candidate in Jonas Williams. He is the 6th-ranked passer in the 26 class, currently committed to Oregon. Like I mentioned, he comes from Illinois. 4-star blue chipper. Had a great visit. Father, I think, was there. Talked about it was impressive university. Campus was nice. Great education. Football program speaks for itself. Coaching staff. Riley's making a strong impression. His what he's done with quarterbacks. So there's something to watch. And I want to. The reason I kind of more want to talk about it is because the quarterback kind of in waiting. The next big recruit that everyone, he's like a 99% prediction to USC. B, his brother is on the team already in Walker Lyons. I'm talking about Ryder Lyons from Folsom. C, USC is starting to build kind of this pipeline from Folsom. Just got a prediction for one of their offensive linemen just yesterday. So kind of building this pipeline. So Lyons, as it is right now, is a quarterback in the 2026 class. Rated above Jonas Williams. And so I'm sure there's, and even with myself, there's maybe a little, because we know the state of college football. We know NIL. We know how quickly these kids will jump programs if they don't feel the love coming back or feel the dedication to them. And so I'm sure they're hearing that. Like some people are like, oh, look at that. Could flip a blue chip quarterback. Great. But there's the other side of, well, what does that mean for Ryder Lyons? Is that going to scare him off? You're not getting both. So are you moving on from Ryder Lyons? My thought on it, and I haven't talked to anyone on staff about this, so this is just my opinion. Ryder Lyons will actually be a 2027 prospect because he's taken a mission like his brother did. So he will actually not enroll till 27. You kind of have to recruit a quarterback in every class. Because, I mean, as great as they might look in high school, as great as their stars indicate, there's the unknown of NIL. Like, will a quarterback actually stay and be developed? Or will they leave? Or there's just, hey, that transition from high school to college is a big jump. I mean, look at just Malachi Nelson just a few years ago. I mean, he was the number 3 quarterback in the entire class, the 2022 class. After being 1 year at USC, hit the portal, went to Boise State, didn't win that job, hit the portal this year, and now he's at UTEP. I hope for him, Low Sal kid. I hope he can rebuild his career at UTEP. But it shows you can't put all your eggs into the basket of an unknown high school 4-star, 5-star. So, as great as Ryder Lyons looks, and I do believe he's the real deal. Like, dude looks freaking good. So I don't want anyone to mishear me. But you have to have kind of that, well, if, strategic plan of like, he's the guy, but let's pursue others. We saw them kind of last year, Lincoln Riley, go all in on Julian Lewis. We reported at LAFB back in November, I think, that at that time, Lewis was the only quarterback that they even offered. And then when he kept taking visits and it was looking like, well, he's kind of not maybe fully committed, then SC did their due diligence. Lincoln Riley ended up offering Husan Longstreet, and we all know how that went down, and it worked out. But if it didn't work out, if Husan did not flip, because basically once November hit, we pretty much knew Julian Lewis was going to flip. I mean, he was not going to USC. And so if they didn't flip Husan, it would have not just looked bad, it would have been bad. You had then no QB. You had Jaden Maiava, and you would have had to hit the portal for someone. You had no waiting in the wings to develop. So anyway, I'm getting long-winded here. But the other thing I want to say, besides the whole having a backup plan in this, is it shouldn't scare people just based on my math, right? But you want to have a QB every class. I think that's smart. That's wise. One QB every class. And so, and obviously they USC didn't have one this previous class, this 24 class. So maybe they'll do every other. But anyway, if you think about it, so if you have Husan Longstreet is your 25 class, and this is just a big if because he's trending, but if this Williams kid does end up flipping, Jonas Williams does end up flipping, there's your 26 class. Ryder Lyons is your 27 class. So theoretically, all guys have minimum of 3 years before you can go to the NFL. So let's say Husan Longstreet plays 26 and 27. So Williams basically sits in 26 and 27. Would he sit 2 years is the question. But let's just say that happens. He sits. Ryder Lyons then comes in 27, sits. Williams then plays 28, and then Lyons becomes the guy in 20. So each guy kind of sits 2 years. It's not as bad as it seems as like, okay, we have 3 guys coming in and like someone's transferring. Now it could happen. So we'll see. We'll keep you guys posted on any of that news. I just say all that for those concerned that pursuing Williams turns off Ryder Lyons, I wouldn't get there yet. It does give me a little pause, just because I think for me, again, if in a perfect world, for me, you have Maiava this year, Husan Longstreet takes over in 26. He's there 26 and 27. Ryder Lyons comes in 27, sits behind Longstreet for the year, and then he takes over 28. Like, to me, that makes the most sense. But we don't live in a perfect world. So you got to have that backup plan. And if you get Williams there and you still get Lyons to commit, then they have a great QB battle in 27 or 28. And then whoever doesn't win it, then they can transfer, and it works out best for both parties, hopefully. So anyway, a lot of news in there. I know I rambled a lot, so thank you all for bearing with me. We'll be recording tomorrow night, me, Coach, and Madman, recapping National Signing Day, recapping all the news pressers with the new staff happening on campus, which I will be in attendance for. But thank you, as always, everyone. I really do appreciate it. I know we're getting a lot of great comments. I really do appreciate it. Trying to give you the most up-to-date and good info as I can. All of it, I write a bunch of stuff on LAFBnetwork.com, so if you're interested in reading or checking out our editorial, plus all of our other LA sports coverage, Rams, Chargers, also UCLA, Lakers, Dodgers, all that stuff is at LAFBnetwork.com. But if you haven't already, hit that like and subscribe button. If you're not there yet, USC LAFB is the channel. Really easy to find. USC LAFB. Audio platforms, Spotify, Apple. Just search Salute to Troy. And as I've just said 100 times, everything can be found at LAFBnetwork.com. So thank you so much, Trojan family, for the support. Let's keep this thing rolling. Let's keep growing this thing. And as always, fight on.